Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. And today I have a very interesting video for you. And this video has to do with Andrew Tate and ChatGPT. And since ChatGPT is so new and I have a interest in personality theory, understanding people, I thought I would do an experiment with ChatGPT and see if it could give me not only a conclusive decision on what type Andrew Tate is, because that's a thing. You kind of see what a celebrity's type is, right? But I wanted to see not only if it could narrow down a celebrity's type only with text, but narrow down and also give me 20 strong points as to why it thinks that celebrity could be a type. So in this video, we're going to go over Andrew Tate's socionics type, and via ChatGPT, the 3.5 version, which some say arguably is a little bit stronger than the newer version for some reason. And not only are we going to go through, not only am I going to explain how I came to this conclusion, what was my process in figuring it out with ChatGPT, but I'm going to go through the 20 reasons why it thinks Andrew Tate is this type. So, what is Andrew Tate's type? Well, we're gonna get to that. But first, I want to explain the methodology and process I had with trying to figure out how to use ChatGPT, leverage ChatGPT logic in order to get this. So, what did I do to get the answer finally after I had asked ChatGPT so many times to figure this out? And maybe when I have some more free time, I will continue this same cycle. But essentially what I did is I took the most recent interview that Andrew Tate had, which is with an individual called Candace Owens. The interview specifically is called Andrew Tate, Candace Owens interview. I'm going to link it in the description. So what I ended up doing was I took the responses that Andrew Tate had given in the interview, actually the first 20 minutes of the interview, and I fed it to ChatGPT. So I took out the interviewer, who is Candace. I just took I stripped the audio to just, I made it audio from speech to text with an AI site. I used, it's called Veed, V-E-E-D. I used Veed to strip the audio to text to make life easier. And then from there, I asked ChatGPT, based off of, the data I provided, what type do you think this individual is? I wanted to keep it objective, so I didn't want to mention Andrew Tate to ChatGPT because who knows if ChatGPT is biased. So I said, I'm, based off of the responses of the interviewee, what socionics type do you think this person is? And, ChatGPT is really good at dodging your asks. And it took some time to get ChatGPT to respond. And eventually I asked, how did I say it? Hold on. Eventually, because it kept giving me like the same three responses, answers, the same three types. Because I asked ChatGPT to narrow it down to like 3 types. So it gave me 3 types. It gave me ESTP, ENTP, and INTJ of socionics. Okay. And then I'm like, you know what? I just have to ask this maybe from a different angle. So I asked it again, if you had to choose from these 3 types, if it were life or death, so to speak, which one seems more likely over the others, right? And then it, gives me this long thing, but eventually concludes to, so it goes, if I had to choose from these 3 types, ESTP, ENTP, and INTJ, based on the provided info, it seems that ENTP appears to be more likely than the others. Okay. So then it goes to say, the reason for this tentative choice is that the person emphasizes challenging the status quo, being a forward thinker, and having an affinity with the disenfranchised youth, which aligns with NETI cognitive functions. The individual also expresses the belief that they are an anti-hero and seems to analyze their own journey and growth, which further points towards an NETI type. However, and then it goes into kind of like backtracking and saying that it may or may not be accurate, right? Or saying that there's more to understand beyond text. But let's just say, for argument's sake, that we only have text. Let's say Andrew Tate died tomorrow. What could we, how could we possibly know, right? Which is my kind of angle. So then, obviously now giving me all the ammo, I say, okay, now give me 20 reasons why you strongly conclude your argument of ENTP, right? And so now we're going to be discussing that. So I thought I'd kind of give you a synopsis of how I kind of came about that. So a lot of back and forth with ChatGPT, trying to get to that. I would feed it some info, then it would still say not enough, essentially. Then I'd feed it some more info, not enough, more info, not enough, more info, not enough. And then eventually I'm like, you know what? Maybe it has enough to actually do a do or die, right? So maybe I'll make a part 2 of this if it changes its mind, right? Which is now where I'm at. Because now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm going to give you some more information. Based off this new information, would you change your mind, right? Now, in ChatGPT is really special because it can go back in time in the earlier conversation, and it can, based off of earlier convo, update its answer, right? So without further ado, here are the 20 reasons why ChatGPT thinks that Andrew Tate is an ENTP. Right. So the first is he emphasizes challenging the status quo and forward thinking. That's very true. Andrew Tate tends to lean on the cutting edge, and he's definitely a challenger in some terms. So I agree with that. Expresses an affinity with different disenfranchised youth, which aligns with NETI's interest in exploring possibilities and finding new ways of understanding. I feel like that's pretty accurate of him. I've taken a lot of his content, and it seems that he is very open to growing as an individual, both intellectually, physically. Like, he's always trying to push himself to newer bounds. And it's interesting how he relates to, he kind of relates to the youth, and he kind of sees himself as this hero. Definitely see the exploring possibilities part, and tied with his entrepreneurial side, like those both hand in hand make sense. Third one, describes themselves as an anti-hero, a characteristic often associated with NE types in socionics. Can't really speak much about that, but that's interesting. Analyzes their own growth and journey, indicative of NE's introspective nature. I think that's very true. NE types are usually very introspective, and they do analyze themselves a lot. Kind of goes hand in hand. Fifth one would be expresses a strong belief in empowerment and reaching out to disenfranchised individuals, a characteristic of NETI's desire for innovation and improvement. That makes a lot of sense. Analyzing their own growth and journey. That's the fourth one. I haven't read this yet, so like I'm unraveling this with you for the first time. Expresses a strong belief in empowerment and reaching. I mean, he's all about empowerment and reaching out to people who are not in a well-off position. Like that's pretty much his mantra. Like his website's based off that. You know, like he has like these tenets that he's designed. He has like this whole group, this whole, you know, he's got this whole thing. His whole frame of business is based on that. It's you know, I'm the anti-hero. I'm the person that is here to help and elevate to my level, I guess. So that makes a lot of sense. Sixth one refers to having a global reach and attracting fans from diverse backgrounds, suggesting NE's broad and expansive perspective. Right. Because with NE is all about wanting to gain like a broad sense and idea across like a very wide spectrum, right? And I don't value NE personally because I'm an LIE, but NE for me is four-dimensional, and so I can agree with that. NE, we want, leveraging NE, you want to absorb as much well-rounded experience as possible. So people with strong NE are really, they're going to be so relatable. They're going to be very relatable people, I think. I think people who exhibit NE, like strong NE, they're going to always come from a place of like, I've been around the block, I've been around the world, and like really leverage that data and those experiences that they've taken in. And I've done that too, actually. For me, I like to take in as much information as I can from people, from experiences. And so from when I do speak from a place of authority and understanding, it's usually from a place like this, from a broad spectrum of data. And for him, he has a global reach and attracting fans, diverse backgrounds. So like he's pulling from all of those people and all those interactions to anecdotally conclude his perspectives, which is not, it's neither right or wrong, but it's definitely has its own form of perceived objectivity. Number 7 mentions having an influence on young boys, indicating an interest in inspiring and mentoring others, which aligns with NATI's mentor-like tendencies. Hey, that's pretty accurate, I believe. Emphasizes power and responsibility going hand in hand, showing an awareness of the impact of their actions, consistent with NETI's concern for ethical considerations. Okay. Number 9, reflects on their own past actions and acknowledges areas of growth, characteristic of NE's retrospective nature. Let me say that again. Reflects on their own past actions and acknowledges areas of growth, characteristic of NE's retrospective nature. And for you guys who aren't aware, sorry, I didn't mention this. NE stands for extroverted intuition. Okay. Number 10 discusses being attacked and scrutinized by haters, showing sensitivity to external judgments, which can align with extroverted intuition's awareness of external influences. So this pretty much is saying that he's very hyper aware of how he's being affected, how things interplay. Which makes sense, which makes him like an expert influencer, because he can really size up his broader environment and really understand what's going on. Number 10 discusses being attacked and scrutinized. Sorry, that is number 10. I just did that, I think. Yeah, okay. Number 11 uses language that is exploratory and open-ended, a common feature of NE expression. That's true. Any extra intuitors usually use open-ended language. They are exploratory in nature. They're like really like the opposite of close-ended. I mean, they're like the opposite of close-ended. They're all about exploring ideas and wanting to explore those ideas. And again, like this follows right into number 12, expresses a willingness to consider different perspectives, typical of an NETI, introverted thinking, multifaceted approach to understanding issues, right? So as a dominant and extrovert intuitor, then introverted thinker type, their approach is leveraging their understanding of systems to feed into their idea, the possibilities and all the different kinds of ideas and possibilities that can happen, which makes them very expert navigators of different landscapes once they really understand that. And he enjoys chess. So if you couple a guy who really enjoys strategy with somebody who sees landscapes and systems as planes of existence to dominate and to win, you know, that's a very dangerous coupling. I think that's very interesting. It makes total sense. Number 13 analyzes the motivations behind attacks and criticism, indicative of NETI's analytical mindset. Self-explanatory. Discusses the contrast between past and present actions, showcasing extrovert intuition's focus on change and evolution. I gotta read that again. Discusses the contrast between past and present actions, okay? Showcasing NE's focus on change and evolution. Yeah, this is getting into getting into harder territory for me to understand, not gonna lie. I'd really have to think about number 14. Number 15, mentions an ability to impact the world positively, a goal that aligns with NETI's desire to make a difference. Okay, yeah, I can see that. Acknowledges being flawed and not a perfect human. Acknowledges being flawed and not a perfect human, consistent with NETI's recognition of human imperfections. Number 17, describes the potential credibility gained from being attacked, which reflects NETI's view of challenges as opportunities for growth and learning. We discussed that in an earlier one. Kind of uses every scenario as a way to kind of like see things differently and to grow. Mentions dealing with past videos made for private circulation, indicating an awareness of different contexts, typical of NE's contextual thinking. Extrovert intuitors are very, very contextual. And I would say that I understand that because I'm a very contextual person as well. And because I think I have 4-dimensional extrovert intuition myself, I think it annoys a lot of people when I pull that weapon out of, oh, well, it depends on the context and it's everything situational. So I can see that with him. He's always doing that too in arguments, which is, you know, I don't see anything wrong with it, but I think to the average person, they may not understand why. And it's, you know, context is everything. Expresses, this is number 19, expresses skepticism towards selective use of old clips of haters, demonstrating ability to critically assess information. Nice, common in this type. And the last one, uses introspective language and self-awareness, which aligns with NETI's introspective nature. So those are the 20 reasons why ChatGPT thinks that he's an ENTP. And for us, ENTP in socionics, sorry, I just want to make sure I have this right. That would be the ILE in socionics, which would make him in the alpha quadrant, I believe. So there you have it. That's the explanation ChatGPT has. I would, for the points it makes, agree with what it's saying. It makes a lot of sense. And I know I say that a lot, but when you think about the rationale, and I'm going to post this in the comments. I mean, not in the comments. I'm going to post this in the description all of the 20 to, and the link to the interview that the interview that I took this from, and you can see for yourself, and maybe you can input this for different celebrities and see what it says. Maybe I'll just make a trend and see if I can extract different contents from interviews from different celebrities and start posting it, and show ChatGPT's 2 cents on what it thinks. On the topic of the other ones, like the ESTP and the INTJ, I just can't see INTJ because, again, I fed ChatGPT this data as just text, right? So it doesn't know that the person I'm talking about is pretty much an extrovert, for one. And the other, between the ESTP and the ENTP options, I would say that, I understand where ChatGPT, actually thinking about it, ChatGPT, I understand where it's coming from, it believing ENTP. But I would be interested to think, I'm going to actually ask it right now. Would your choice change if I told you the person I am referring to is Andrew Tate, who is an entrepreneur, let's see what it, I just snorted. Let's see what it says. If it were do or die, and you had to choose between the 2 types, ESTP and ENTP, which would you choose? Okay, so now it says, if I were to have to choose between ESTP and ENTP based on the provided text and additional information about Andrew Tate, it would lean towards ESTP as the more likely type. The reason for this tentative choice are as follows: emphasis on challenging the status quo, Andrew Tate focused on tangible actions and results, the mention of being from a low-income background and making something out of nothing, the discussion of dealing with attacks and criticism. Okay, so it's changing its it's changing its mind. So now it thinks that Andrew Tate's an ESTP, SETI. But what's interesting though is they both value TI in that mix, which is interesting. So leave it up for debate between the 2 types. Which one do you think Andrew Tate would be? ESTP, which would be, ESTP would be the beta quadrant. That would be LSE, I believe, in socionics, and ENTP, which is alpha. So which one do you think, guys, he would be? Leave your comments down below on what you think it would be. I'm gonna post both arguments, 20 for both arguments in the description, and would love to hear what you guys have to think. All right, take care.